Hey gang, good news. The TV show I created last year called Proof is now on Amazon Prime. So I know I made a community post about this, but I also wanted to make a quick video about it in case you guys don't see the community posts. For all of you guys who are new out there, for some reason a lot of people aren't getting notifications, so please turn on that bell so you can see when these videos come out. But before we talk about it, I just need a drink of water. It's not one of my videos unless I take a sip of water. So on my Instagram page, one of our subscribers here, Nuki, actually asked me why I didn't tell everyone about this show when I was actually doing it. So the answer is because it was like over a year ago. Plus, this particular show is more of a docu-style show. It's not really, it's scripted, but it's not like a scripted series show. It is scripted, but it's more like a documentary. The show is 13 episodes, and each episode covers a different aspect of different paranormal things. Now, when I decided to do this, I actually wanted to pick topics that weren't as ordinary as you always see. Yes, ghosts. Yes, you have like haunted houses. And I wanted to generally, as much as I could, just pick more different topics that haven't been covered as much, like electronic voice phenomena, where people hear voices through the static of radios when you record something and then when you play it back you hear voices. Shadow people, when you sleep at night and sometimes you feel like something's wrestling you in the middle of the night. Denver airport conspiracy. If you've never been to the Denver airport, there are some creepy things. And I even got as a guest someone I used to work with. I can't really say his name, and if you watch the series, he's actually his profile and he's sort of concealed. And he used to work, or is the last remaining scientist who worked on the MK Ultra project in the 60s. MK Ultra was the US government's response to the Soviets' attempt to create mind control and to sort of this psycho warfare. So the US government actually had their own program. It was called MK Ultra. It became a really big thing, and all those scientists are surprisingly dead now, except for one, and he's in the show. So how did this whole project come about? Well, it was done through Hoplite Pictures. They're an Emmy Award-winning production company. If you've seen my Instagram or the intro to the videos before the video analysis videos, you'll see a picture from my Instagram of me sitting next to an Emmy Award. Well, that's at Hoplite. My friend Jonathan is a showrunner over there, and he actually said, hey, we want to do this show, which is paranormal based. He sent me an example of sort of the type of show. He's like, what can you come up with? So I came up with this idea called Proof, and the reason is because I come from TV film. I know we talk about TV film a lot, and the thing that creates drama and interest in television and film is conflict. People with opposing views or opposing desires and wants. A lot of times when you see documentaries, it's somebody with a worldview. It's like, oh, this person actually is innocent, or this person actually killed somebody, or these are these crimes. There's not too much really tension as far as people disagreeing about stuff. So my idea is I wanted two different experts, one who believed in a paranormal subject and one who didn't believe in it and was very skeptical, didn't think it was true. And they were both very smart, and then actually sort of to have an argument or to have a discussion where they actually conflicted each other and they talked it out. However, when I tried to do that, it became very apparent that a lot of the experts didn't want to have an argument with somebody else, which is unfortunate. It would have created more drama. They didn't want to cause conflict, but they were willing to tell their side of the story. So instead of filming both people in the same room and me moderating and saying like, hey, what do you think? Or this person saying this, instead what I had to do is I actually interviewed both people separately, and then I edited the interviews together. I was able to actually create sort of a synergy in the interviews because I knew how I wanted to edit them together. I knew sort of the general format, so I asked them questions which are going to give answers that the other person was also giving. So this way that they could kind of respond to each other in the interviews, even if the other person wasn't there. In my mind, I was thinking what the other person had said, and I was like, hey, well, what do you think about this? And this way, when I edited it together, there was somewhat of a response to each other, so it almost sounded like a conversation, but from two separate people, even though they didn't realize they were doing it. So then I came up with the title, which is Proof, which is, do you have enough proof, or who has given you enough proof? And then I found an awesome quote from a nun saying, it's at the top of my head, I think it's, we live in a science of magic and mystery, but still we desire proof. Misquoting it, but I think it's kind of like that. Because the whole idea is I wanted a duality in the show. Like I wanted a duality between science and then also metaphysics. you know, magic versus science, and I wanted to have that feel of the duality through the entire show. Because we had one expert who was doing, as a skeptic, who was on the side of science, and one expert who's more on the side of metaphysics. Unfortunately, a lot of that was kind of lost in the show. Like when you watch the show, you sort of miss, maybe you don't necessarily feel the duality as much as I would have wanted. So if I had to go back and do it over again, I'd probably figure a way out to make it more definitive. Like, hey, there's definitely opposite sides that are conflicting, and I'm trying to present both sides. Even in the theme music and the titles, like my whole idea for the titles was to show a lot of like science, like beakers and things, and then show metaphysics, like magical things, to get that duality feel. Didn't really come through in the titles, although part of what I did suggest in the titles did come through, which is I wanted, you know, like industrial music versus classical music, and them sort of combine and contrast. That didn't really happen. But the other idea that did happen was I was like, I want a heartbeat feel in the music, like a doom 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 doom. And actually, if you watch the titles, the percussion goes doom 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 doom. That actually mirrors the heartbeat that I wanted in the titles, to kind of feel that beating heartbeat. So in reality, I basically did everything in creating the show. So I created the idea of the show, I created even down to the titles, what I wanted. I picked out all the episodes, and I actually wrote out all the episodes for the voiceover person. And what I did is I actually outlined every episode and said exactly what I wanted. Then I had a writer who worked underneath me, and she actually wrote the episodes out. What we found, though, in the long run is a lot of the episodes I ended up having to rewrite myself, not because she wasn't any good, but just because what happened is the clips that we're being able to use ended up changing a lot. So what happens is, I don't know if you guys know, but there's something called clip clearances, is that you need to have the rights to show every single clip that you broadcast. People on YouTube, they do this fair use thing, which I've tried to do for my K-pop videos, as you know, and has not worked. But with fair use, you should be able to, you know, supposedly use things for commentary, which is exactly what we were using. However, when stuff is broadcast on TV or in film, it's a very national thing. Then the attorneys don't want to take any chances that there could be any contestation on the property. They don't want to be like, a year later someone says, that's my clip, you need to pay me for it, and it's too late, the clip's already being used. Then they can contest the broadcast of the show, put someone over a barrel, say, well, you can't broadcast the show unless you pay me some extravagant amount. And they just didn't want any chance of that happening, because you know it's going to happen. So that means that every single clip that we used had to be paid for, bought, or rights signed away for it. And finding a bunch of clips on the internet and getting all those rights actually ended up being very difficult, because either the people who were trying to sell the rights wanted way too much money. Some people wanted like $100 a second. I mean, that's a lot, $100 a second for usage. Then there were clips that we couldn't even find who the owners were, and so we searched all over, couldn't find who owned the clips, and so we couldn't get usage rights, so we couldn't use those clips either. And of course, there's always a few people who just said, no, we don't want you to use our clips. So each one of those episodes was probably rewritten about 5 times. I would originally tell my writer what I wanted, give her a full outline, she would write it, and then those clips, sometimes we wouldn't be able to use them, and we have to jostle them out, find other clips, then not be able to use those. And all those times, the episode would have to be rewritten for those clips that we could use, and I just didn't want to make her do that, so I just did that myself. So basically all the episodes, I'd say like they're 95% of my writing. Our post-production team was in South Africa, so we would try to have WhatsApp calls and WhatsApp meetings and contacting them, and we'd send things back and forth. They would upload cuts to the cloud, and I would look at them and make adjustments, and I actually did the rough assembly of a lot of stuff myself, especially the interviews. I actually cut them together with timestamps, sent them over there, and then they used those to do all the final cuts or the fine cuts. But honestly, gang, I am super excited that I have something that I created that's on a streaming platform like Amazon, because most people in the world have Amazon or access to Amazon, and it's really exciting because I don't get paid anymore for it. I mean, I was just paid a fee up front to do it. So, you know, if you view it or you don't, it doesn't like affect me financially, but it's great for me just as far as just exciting for me, for more people see it, the more people view it, can see something that I've done, and it's on such a large platform. It's super, super, super exciting. So as far as a season 2 goes, there has been zero talk of that yet because it literally just got released on Amazon. What you might find odd though is that my show could continue on subsequent seasons without me. So when you do stuff, if you're WGA like Writers Guild like I am, and you do a union show like you write a scripted show, then if you're the creator of a show, then no matter if you actually are writing episodes, if you create something, you always get paid for that show because you made it. With non-union stuff, especially like reality TV stuff, there are no rules that govern that. So typically speaking, like you can create a show like I created it and they paid me out for it. And then they own the IP or intellectual property. And so they can take what I created and do 20 seasons of it and I never make another penny. Obviously what I hope is if there's another season that they'd want to bring me back to actually create those seasons. But it might never happen. So gang, if you have any questions about the show or the process of the show or the research I did for the show, I did so much research into every single topic, and I have some kind of crazy stories. One story I can tell you is, so episode 13 is was supposed to be our best of, sort of a compilation of the best of proof. I showed a lot of not before scene footage, like stuff that we didn't use in the other episodes. It was really good. But the production team and post team down in South Africa want to take their swing at assembling something. And no offense to them, but my episode was so much better than what they did because I included a lot of new, never before seen stuff. So episode 13 wasn't me. If you don't like that, then it's not my fault. But in episode 13, on our episode of demonic possession, our expert Ellie was there and she was talking about what demons were, and we're in the studio and we're filming her and our crew's there and she's talking about it. Bam, this door slams on the other end of the studio. There's nobody there. It's a weekend. The air conditioner isn't on. There's no breeze. She's talking about it, and bam, and the door slams. She jumps and we all jump. We're like, what was that? What's going on? And we all captured it on tape and we're like, wow, that's crazy. And we're talking back and forth about it. It was really very interesting. Unfortunately, you didn't get to see that. Maybe, I don't know if I can find the raw footage. Well, I probably can't show it anyways because it's copywritten. So I don't know if I can actually show it. So anyways, I hope you guys check it out and just wanted to share some good news with you. And again, if you have any questions about the TV filming process or TV film in general from my experience, please put them below. This channel is here so you can actually have a window into the world of somebody who actually does TV and film. So anyways, gang, I love you. I appreciate you. I know I haven't been uploading a lot recently. Sorry about that. I'm going to try to stick on a little bit more, but just know I love you guys and I think about you guys a lot and I appreciate you all, okay? So for this video, go watch Proof on Amazon Prime. That's a wrap.